Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this 18th session of this Ramadan Tafseer. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa afdal salati wa tammu taslim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Wa ba'd. In today's in today's session, I'll be looking at Surah Al-Mu'minun and Surah Al-Nur, one each from the Madani side and one from the Makki side. Surah Al-Mu'minun, the Makki surah, it will connect us to nature in it. It will bring mentions of prophets. It is going to mention about the end of times, Yawm al-Qiyamah, as well as telling us about the severity the non-Muslims, the disbelievers will face at the end of times, and the fact that they are pleading with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to return them to this earth. But as Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, وَلَوْ رُدُّوا لَعَادُوا لِمَا نُهُوا عَنْهُ إِنَّهُمْ لَكَاذِبُونَ, that if they were sent back, they would return to their ways. And if they promise to do good, it will be back to the normal ways when they've got that chance again to be alive in this earth. But there is no way back. إِنَّهُمْ لَكَاذِبُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, verily they are sheer liars. As for Surah Al-Nur, we have a surah, a Madani surah, and now this is about that family life, what's important and how that's so important in our society. So it has laws to do regarding that. It will mention capital punishment, laws for different acts of crime people do. It is a surah that tells us to seek permission to enter the house, to guard our chastity, protect our private parts from being used in the wrong, forbidden ways, and about safeguarding our eyes. It is also a surah that Umar radiallahu anhu said to the people of Kufa that you should teach your women Surah An-Nur. And in this surah we also have the mention of the light of Allah, as it is titled the light, and Surah Al-Mu'minun, the believers. So we begin with Surah Al-Mu'minun, being the believers, being the first ayah that mentions about the believers, and it tells us about their characteristics. I will start with that. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون والذين هم عن اللغو معرضون والذين هم للزكاة فاعلون والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون. There's a few things it mentions in the beginning, that success belongs to the mu'minun, the ones who have iman. So success is really attained by the believers. Then it mentions alladina in the next few verses, alladina hum, that they are the ones who fi salatihim khashiyun, that in their salah, in their prayers, they find khushu. So prayer is not just about performing those spoken aspects of it and then the doing acts of it only, because if you just complete all that with your ruku and your sujood, right, you've completed your prayer. But if there was no khushu, there was no humbleness in there, there was no thoughts in the pondering as well about that now you're in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you have removed a lot. One of the greatest thefts that Prophet said in a hadith is not the one who steals, literally steals, and like the queen's jewels or the kohinoor or anything of anything of value. It is the greatest theft is the one that a person, he steals from his salah. So he's praying, but his ruku is not being performed properly. His sajda, prostration is being performed properly. That is the one who is the greatest loser, the one who's doing the biggest theft, according to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then it carries on, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ, that from vain things, from useless things, they turn away. That's what the believers do. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ, that even for zakah, they're the ones who are the performers of it, they give zakah. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ, as I said, this surah was to do with the family's life. If you don't protect your private parts, that's it, the family is going to be destroyed. And therefore it mentions that to protect your private parts, your chastity as well, and to use it in the ways that it mentions with your wives, with the ones who your right hand possesses. But we do not have that. Slaves are not now in this modern world. Slavery has been destroyed a long time ago. And just to mention about slavery, why did Islam have rules about slavery as well? Because it exists in the world. So you can't just suddenly Islam comes and destroys slavery. It's everywhere, it's prevalent. So Islam had the best thing for it, about solution for it, which is to free the slaves. As Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu did, and the majority of the early beginners, believers to Islam, were slaves who became Muslims by being freed at the hands of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So, and slowly slavery was to go. We do not, Islam does not promote slavery in that sense, but alhamdulillah, it had solutions even for what it had to face in the world. So this is all now, it talks about the believers and then expands everything about the believers. So this is a general thing, it's about successes in the believers, and then tells about what the believers are, so it goes into more detail. So this is in Balagha, that kind of expansion from the beginning of just a little overview. In the next verse, Allah SWT says, فَأَخَذَتْهُمُ الصَّيْحَةُ بِالْحَقِّ فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ غُثَاءً فَبُعْدًا لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. That the cry, the sayha, the cry sees them. So this is Allah SWT punishing a generation before, a group before, according to the promise. So Allah, as I said, Allah, when He promises, it comes. He delivers on His promise. So He punished people before with a cry, with a shriek, with sound, and He made them scum. So this is now tashbih baligh, that He made them فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ غُثَاءً, like refuse, like garbage. They just scattered and strewn. It didn't mention all the details of everything. It just said made them scum. So it's tashbih baligh, a high form of simile that Allah has given us. But we can imagine that it was just scattered and they were all over the place, and it was just bits and pieces and nothing. It just how the punishment and how the power of Allah was manifested at that time. And then Allah says, ثُمَّ أَنْشَأْنَا مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ قُرُونًا آخَرِينَ. And then after that Allah created a new generation. So if Allah wanted to replace the people, He does as He wants it. In the next verse, we have an example of metaphor and isti'ara again. وَلَدَيْنَا كِتَابٌ يَنْتِقُ بِالْحَقِّ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. With us there is a book that speaks the truth. So the Quran, the book, Allah's speech, is not going to speak the truth literally, but the Prophet ﷺ, that book from Jibreel alayhi salam, the medium from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Jibreel alayhi salam, that medium, it was a Prophet ﷺ who spoke the Quran to us, who disseminated that knowledge to us, and the book is full of truth, full of haqq. And as I said in the previous times about the world being a deception, the Quran is one anchor that keeps us firmly on our ground, firmly down to earth, in a sense, that it tells us what reality is of this dunya, of everything. And the Prophet ﷺ is like a mirror to the book. The akhlaq of the Prophet ﷺ is the Quran. So we have the book speaking to us through the Prophet ﷺ, but it speaks metaphorically to us. And then finally, the last verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in Surah Nur now, الله نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. Long verse that is talking about the light of Allah, and then it says an example of this light. So this is now tashbih tamthili, that it's telling us every single detail and really giving us an illustrative, a descriptive example of this light of Allah. So it is like a mishkat, it's like a niche. So we have a niche really far off, it's far away from everybody, it's a niche, and in the niche there's a lamp. Fiha misbah, there's a lamp. You can think of a lantern or a lamp, and in that misbah, fi zujaja, is in a glass. So again, you can't even touch the It's in a niche, far out, untouchable. It's in a glass, untouchable. And then in this glass is like a blazing star. It's like a blazing star, it's like a shining star. So it's like a star there in the niche that's gonna now spread that light when it's about to be lit. This lamp in the bottle, in the glass, sorry, in the niche, it has light. It's lit by it has oil in it. That oil is from the blessed olive tree. And now this olive tree is not sharqiyya wala gharbiyya. It's not from the east or the west. It's basically out of this world. But really, it's that the sun shines on these olives, whose oil it is, from the east and the west. It's getting the best of both worlds. It's not just based in the west or based in the east. There's just one sun coming to it. But the sun is coming to it from both sides. That the oil from it is the most purest form, such that even when you're close to lighting it, you haven't lit it yet, this oil to shine, it already picks up that, and it starts that spark, and it's lit. It is that blazing, that beautiful, over that encompassing everything, light adjectives that is just illuminating. It's just full of rays, and it just shines. And that's that example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give of His light, and how it emanates everything and touches every single thing. And that is the light that we want to follow, which is from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. He was that light that we want to follow to be guided to the path of Jannah. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam.